From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Welcome to the Badass Counseling Show. It's great to have you here. Whether you are tuning in from Amsterdam or Brussels, or perhaps you are in from Southern California or Northern Japan, we have listeners from around the world, and we love all of our listeners. We love the questions you bring, the problems you ask us to sort through with you and solve. And it's just a treat. It really is a treat working with you and getting to know all of you. And so thank you for listening in wherever you are listening in from today. I am joined by my entire team today. I have Casey out of the booth, but remote. Casey, say hello. Where are you?
Hello. I'm in my office.
Well, it's good to have you with us. And
it's good to be here.
Thank you. Good to have you always with your insights and so forth. And Rob the Rocket sitting next to me.
Hey, man, the gang's all here. Hail, hail, the gang's all here. What the heck? No, actually, we do care.
We do care.
We do care.
What's that from, Rob?
It's a very old song.
What song? You know?
I don't know. Hail, hail, the gang's all here. But
what the hell do we care?
Well, we do, though.
But I was just
greatly.
The next line. All right. Well, Rob, tell us about Bernie, if you would.
All right, we're up to an exceptionally good start, so I might as well read this. Here
Let's
we go. Okay. Bernie wrote in and said, your approach to mental health and confronting negative patterns deeply resonates with me. After starting the Love Cup journaling work, I've gained more self-awareness in 2 years than I ever did therapist hopping while searching for healing beyond SSRIs. When I got sober, I thought life would get easier. Instead, I felt overwhelmed by emotions and confused by why I was still unhappy. At the time, I was working full-time, caring for a baby, and managing the entire household, while my ex-husband rarely helped, despite my repeated requests. We moved closer to my parents, hoping for support. They helped at first, but troubling comments started, like my father saying my 2-year-old needed her ass beat. I tried to ignore it until a vacation when my mother, who had been drinking, nearly fell down a spiral staircase while holding my daughter. When I confronted them, my father again said she needed to be hit, and I lost my temper. Afterward, my family responded with the silent treatment until everyone pretended nothing happened. When I later tried to calmly explain that we weren't using physical punishment, my father dismissed me, calling me bipolar, and he said I needed therapy. I eventually sold the house next to them and separated from my husband. My life is calmer now, but I still struggle with loneliness and feeling like I'm not good enough. I want to learn how to heal from these dynamics while raising my daughter differently and not passing my pain on to her.
Bernie, welcome to the show.
Good to meet you, Sven.
Pleasure is completely ours. I want to start with a comment you made there towards the end. You said, my life is calmer now since you've sold the house next to them, separated from my husband. My life is calmer now, but I struggle with loneliness and feeling like I'm not good enough. Did having them in your life, your husband and having your parents near and more involved in your life, make you feel good enough?
Maybe for a little while, but not long term.
Because?
The things that I tried to ignore were like neon signs after having my daughter.
And after having your daughter, they became like neon signs because?
I realized that the whirlwind in my brain wasn't all made up, that I wasn't as crazy as they made me out to be.
You had a whirlwind in your brain. And so when did you start drinking?
Oh, my goodness. Before I was legal, probably 18, 19 years old.
Okay. And any other addictions that went along with that or habits?
Definitely nicotine, smoking and drinking.
How old did you start smoking?
Around the same time,
okay.
16, 17.
And would it be a reasonable statement to say, and feel free to throw it in the trash if it doesn't fit, that the smoking and the drinking were an attempt to quiet the whirlwind in your mind?
Absolutely.
You see them as correlated.
Yes.
Were they?
Yes, I wanted to silence the bad thoughts that my family's not awful.
Oh, interesting. The bad thoughts that my family is not awful. So you knew your family was awful. Interesting. I expected that sentence to end the bad thoughts that I'm awful.
Well, it was a bit of both because I would one minute it'd be like, oh no, they're wrong. And then it's like, okay, but you're the child and you're being selfish and you're a brat, just like they've told you. So then I would spiral into, okay, I am the POS. Let me just get drunk. It's my fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. But
And
I knew deep down it wasn't my fault.
you did. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. And if you were to be totally honest, as of today, what percent is and basically what was the fault? The fault for what? Your unhappiness,
Or
life being shitty, what the fault for what?
yeah, the false reality of life, needing the white picket fence, the husband, the children, the make everything look pretty. Everything should look pretty on the outside, but you're going to be destroyed on the inside.
And so you were experiencing that even at 18 and 20 and 22.
I think it was earlier than that.
Oh, okay. So if you were to speculate, how early do you think you were experiencing the sort of the dichotomy, the false reality?
At home, there was screaming and yelling and fighting, but out in public, you better not step out of line at all whatsoever because you knew what was waiting for you at home.
How early?
I don't have a lot of memories less than 7.
Seven's
but
pretty early. So, okay, let's go with 7. I mean, do you remember it as early as 7? What's the earliest you remember, like shit being like there was a bit of a dichotomy or just of it feeling yucky or what's your earliest memory of this, this false reality or feeling like you're a bad girl or my family is awful?
hearing my parents scream at each other. Occasionally, my dad would shove my mom, and then we would try to talk about it. And oh, that didn't happen. That's not true.
Earliest?
6, 7.
6 or
I
7?
was definitely elementary school
That's
because
fair.
I was very violent as a child too.
That's fair. Well, and that's what was modeled, but also you had so much pain inside of you and that's coming out. I'm mad at the world and also wanting some attention. And I mean, so many things going on inside of that little child. And so as of right now today, okay, how old are you, by the way?
33.
33. As of right now today, what percent of your feelings of false reality, your feelings of I'm shit, life is shit, whatever, what percent is you? What percent is your family? What percent do you believe you're the problem? What percent do you believe they're the problem?
Oh, I would be about maybe 30%. They're 70%.
Got it. Previously, you had said, I've gained more self-awareness in 2 years working on, Love Cup and my book and journaling than I ever did therapist hopping. When I got sober, I thought life would get easier. Instead, I felt overwhelmed by emotions and confused about why I was still unhappy. Well, no shit. Because that whirlwind in your head, now you had no anesthesia.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Right. That makes sense. You didn't see it coming.
Nope.
But it hit you like a fucking freight train, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And so how long did you suffer through that before you found something to begin to assuage that?
I think I raw dogged sobriety for 2 years.
Oof. Okay, 2 years. And that's not easy to do. And still smoking at that point.
Yes.
Okay. And you said I was working full time, caring for a baby and managing the entire household while my ex-husband rarely helped despite my repeated requests. Did you know prior to becoming sober, did you know that your husband rarely helped? I know that sounds like a weird question.
It's not, though, because this was something that was asked to me previous. And I think I saw the signs, but I am big and strong and I can handle my whole life all by myself. I'm such a big girl. I can do it all by myself. I don't need anybody's help.
So you were aware of it, but you what?
I just wanted to have that perfect picture.
Precisely as was modeled for you. that reality that you already knew was a false reality. Is that accurate?
After I found
that
sobriety,
was a big breath
yeah.
right there. What was that big breath right there?
I think the part of me that's always been lonely just wanted to grip onto someone and just hold them and never let them go, whether they were going to be nice to me or not. But he was completely different than everyone I had dated in the past. He didn't scream at me. He didn't yell at me. He didn't put his hands on me. So I was like, "Ooh, I found a good one."
That's a low fucking bar, man. Oh my God, he's the best. He doesn't hit me. I love him so much. You're the greatest man ever. You don't hit me. I got a woman.
Yeah,
she doesn't burn her cigarette butts on me. I love her. Oh.
True. It's true.
Oh, love.
It's true.
Okay, so I had asked you, did you know previous to becoming sober that he wasn't helping? You said yes, but I wanted to create the perfect family. So it's like, I can take it. It's no big deal. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. Right?
Yeah. Yep. So I just kept taking the punches.
Okay. Not literal punches. Right.
Figuratively.
Got you. And then once you became sober, why did taking the punches, metaphorically speaking, become an issue?
I was so burnt out. I didn't want to have to change one more diaper. I didn't want to have to empty out the sink one more time. I didn't want to take the trash to the dump one more time. I didn't want to mow the lawn one more time. I just didn't want to do it that one more time. I was completely burnt out.
Wow. So he had you mowing the lawn too. So you not only had inside duties and baby duties, you had outside duties too.
I'm not kidding. All of it, 100% of it. I was a manager of a salon. I was full-time housewife and full-time mom. Like I did all of it: laundry, dishes, mowing, tree trimming, all of it.
This guy had a sweet setup. Wow.
Yeah, he did.
Wow. I tell you, they breed them tough wherever you are. Go find a woman there if you are lazy as fuck and are all around POS. And so then you become aware of all this. And then you're imploring him and you're saying, hey, I need more and you need more. And he's like, fuck you. You already trained me that this is good. So why would I change? I don't have to fucking change. Furthermore, you're not going to do shit.
Yeah.
Or what was his message?
It seemed like he was on board the first couple of times that I had gotten sobriety underneath of me. And then I would kind of fall back into a rut, and then I would get it back together. And then I got a year underneath of me, and I was like, okay, so your list of things that you created and my list of things that I created, I'm starting to cross mine off. You haven't started yours. When are you going to get on board with this? Are you going to help me? When is the light bulb going to click for you? Because I can't sustain this anymore. Like I need your help. I need you to step in and take over something.
And how long was it between that moment and you filing for divorce?
I gave him 365 days. And at six month check-in, I did a 6 month check-in, and then I was like, you got 6 months and I'm leaving. And I left.
And there was no change even after that. He's like, I don't give a fuck.
I mean, he said he cared. His emotions said he cared, but his physicality said it didn't.
Right, because words and emotions are easy. They're easy.
The physical.
Well, yeah, but and when you've been bone dry, in your case, bone dry, even getting the words, even getting the emotion feels nice, especially when you come from a home when you're witnessing hitting and you're witnessing no one giving a shit, as we go on to learn more in your autobiography. So to get a man who doesn't hit and a man who at least says nice things, wow, that kind of feels good. And you want to believe, because you wanted to believe in that false reality, that reality that you hoped could be real still. And it's like, well, I got to keep trying. I got to keep trying. And you set that parameter, that 365, and then the 6 months. And then you're like, what did it take for you? What was the final kind of where it's just like, okay, the 365 days, do I have the courage to do this? Because you saw it coming. Okay, it's 90 days. Okay, it's 60 days. Fucking hell, it's 28 days. It's fucking 14 days. What gave you the final to do it, knowing this was going to be a massive change for you? And I think you said you have a child. What did it finally take for you to do it?
The vacation that I talked about in my bio, we were all there. And then my mother fell on the floor near that staircase with my daughter, and I was trying to get to the bottom of it. And then here comes other drinking person, angry, no, she needs her ass beat. Okay, I snapped, completely snapped.
And do that
And
impression again. What did the second person say?
no, what she needs is her ass beat.
I know what she needs is her ass beat. Okay, that was your dad. And
Yep.
and just for the record, was your husband on that vacation?
Yeah, somewhere in a room where he
Okay.
always is. He's always just secluded to a room.
Okay.
And then my sister steps in to separate because I got in his face. I was like, how about I beat your ass? Because I was so sick of it. I was so done with it. And you're not putting hands on my child, period. No one is. So after I left that night, I packed my shit and I left that night. Then things were just awkward because we were literally right next door. They were silent treatmenting and all the things. I attempted to repair that process that I exploded on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was met with the bruting brunt of no, that's not correct. You remember it wrong. You're bipolar. You need meds. Look at you screaming and yelling again. It's
Sure.
always you.
It's
You're
you.
the one
Of
losing
course
your
it's you.
mind.
Of course.
My mother scurries away and pretends like she doesn't hear anything.
Yeah.
And then I was like, dude, put the house up for sale. I'm out. And I moved out within like 30 or 40 days. I had already prepped. I was already prepping and planning for this anyway. I'd already lined up somewhere to live.
And so what it took then is ultimately for the pain to get so bad. Bad enough. As I talk about in the book, change won't occur until the pain gets bad enough. And that's what it took.
Bad.
And it gave you the courage. That pain gave you the courage and the clarity you needed, right?
The sobriety gave me the clarity, and that last event gave me the absolute security. I was like, I'm out.
That's wonderful. So then you go on to say that was the I'm out. And then you go on to transition after talking about the marriage. You go on to transition into talking about your parents. You were hoping for support. They helped at first. Then you go into talking about your dad being a fucking wingnut, abusive cunt. Sorry, Rob, you're going to have to edit that. And you said they helped at first. And then you, like I said, you talk about that. Did their helping decrease? In addition to him becoming a dick, did his helping did their help decrease?
He would disappear. My mother has always tried to play the nice person. She's always tried to, oh, you know how he is.
Okay,
no,
so
you make
she's
excuses for him.
defending the abusive asshole. Great. And she's a drunk herself, as you said. Okay, so they helped at first, and then Dad says, your 2-year-old needs her ass beat, and your 2-year-old, you said, and he says her ass beat, so he believes in beating little girls. So that tells us what sort of man he is. And your mom nearly fell down a spiral staircase while holding your daughter while drinking. Okay, we're getting the full picture here. When I confronted them, father again said she needed to be hit, and I lost my temper. Okay. Afterward, my family responded with a silent treatment, as you were just telling us, until everyone pretended nothing happened. When I later tried to calmly explain, then they call you bipolar, etc. How did that feel to be treated that way by your family? Give me a particular. Okay, that's one way it felt. Give me another feeling word. How else it felt to be treated, but called names, and be treated like you're the problem. Give me another feeling word. Hurt is a good one. Give me another one.
Explosively angry.
Okay. So hurt and angry. And then you go on to say, I eventually sold the house next to them, separated from my husband. My life is calm now, but I still struggle with loneliness and feeling like I'm not good enough. What was your loneliness meter at? What was the percentage that your loneliness meter was at roughly over the course of your marriage? If you were to give an average over the course of your marriage, and roughly how long did your marriage last?
We were married for 6 years.
Okay. And over those 6 years, what was your loneliness percentage on average?
I don't think I ever stopped to think about that.
Today's the day.
I'm starting to wonder if maybe I've always felt lonely.
Okay. Well, let's just start with the marriage.
I mean, I'd have to give it a 50-50, I guess.
Okay,
Like
so
50% was good
now
and
if I didn't
50%
let
was
you use
awful.
50%, because that's kind of a wishy-washy number, you choose any other number you want, but 50. What percent was your loneliness during the course of your marriage on average? Any number you want.
Maybe 40% lonely.
Okay, we'll go with 40% then for now. If you want to change that at any point, just say the word. What would you say your loneliness number was in your teen years?
I guess that again, that 40%.
Okay. And childhood then?
Or I don't know.
Just do your
I
best.
don't know.
What do you remember feeling?
Scared.
Oh.
A lot.
Okay, well then let's take the loneliness and let's just shift it over to scared. And we're going to get those percentages right after this short break.
My wife pushed me to watch this guy's TikTok videos, so I finally caved in, and holy crap, blew me away. I started watching more, and every time he opens his mouth, I get blown away in a whole new way. So I finally bought his book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. To say I got an ass kicking is an understatement. Much needed. It was like having my own personal tough therapist who just gets it. So go do yourself a favor. Get There's a Hole in My Love Cup. It's powerful stuff.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
And we are back with Bernie. Bernie, what percent were you scared on average in your marriage?
I wasn't scared at all in my marriage.
0. Then in your teen years, what percent were you scared? What percentage?
60%.
And in your childhood years, preteen, so 0 to 12, what percent on average, what percentage were you scared?
70%.
Wow. Okay. Of those three numbers, 70%, 60%, and 0%. Oh, and I guess one number I missed, between teen years and marriage, what you married at roughly 27, I'm betting. So between, if you were married for 6 years, well, how old are you when you married? 25?
23 or 24.
23 or 24.
25.
So from, let's say, 18 to 24, 25, what percent were you scared in those years?
Not at all. I was a drunk, belligerent human.
Gotcha.
You couldn't tell me nothing.
Well, the booze took away the fear. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
of those three numbers, then the 0% in your marriage, the 60% scared in teen years, and the 70% scared in childhood years. If one of those numbers weren't quite fully accurate, which one would it be, and what would be the more accurate number? You said 70 as a child, 60 as a teen, and 0 in your marriage. What number wouldn't be quite accurate?
Maybe the fear in the marriage. Let's go ahead and do a good 30% there.
Wow. That just fucking changed. But you found Mr. I don't hit you.
Right, but if I have to be honest,
my name is I don't hit you. Okay, what were you afraid of then? Him leaving?
the picture falling apart. That perfect picture that I had painted was a fake and it was all going to fall apart. That was the fear, that I couldn't hold all the pieces.
Okay, and by hold all the pieces, then what that means is I have to do everything. I can't let him leave. What would happen then? The worst thing happening isn't the picture falling apart. The worst thing is what happens next. What happens if the picture falls apart, Bernie?
I would start over from scratch.
Sure, but why would you fear it? Hey, if I just start over from scratch, you wouldn't fear the picture falling apart. No, what happens either inside of you or in your life if the picture falls apart? Why would you fear it so fucking much? Unless something happens when the picture falls apart that is so fate worse than death. What is it about that you are terrified of so much?
Having to admit that I failed.
And why would you be so afraid of admitting I failed? Because that means what?
I would need my parents.
And why did you so not want to need them?
Because they would cripple me. The progress that I've made would be completely stripped from me if I had to move back in with them or live under their terms and conditions.
So wait a minute. So that means then that your husband represented freedom from your parents. You needed him.
I did.
You clung to him because it's either him or them. And so you were willing to do all that fucking work as long as I don't have to go back to them. So you weren't running to him, you were running from them.
And now I'm running from them both.
Right. And the happy day is when you don't have to run anymore. When you're just happy in your own skin, not even running anymore. That's where we're getting you. Okay. Right.
I just want to exist.
And so then, going back to the other numbers, the lonely numbers, you were 40% lonely in your marriage, 40% lonely as a teen. What percent do you think you were lonely as a child?
I would have to say probably 70%.
Okay. And of those three numbers, if one of those three numbers weren't quite fully accurate, which one would it be, if there were one? And what would be the more accurate number?
I was more lonely in my marriage. I would have to raise that up.
2. Can't say 50
since I can't go 50.
Exactly. You were going to go back to your original number. Okay, fair. You can say 51 or 49 or 43 if you want.
55. Let's
55.
do 55.
All right, I'll give you that. 55%. All right. So you were lonely in your marriage, and the fundamental thing that was missing from your marriage was what? Such that you were lonely. What was missing?
Someone that I could emotionally talk to without them taking it personally. More open communication, that we could have discussions instead of someone having to be right or wrong.
And so then,
yeah.
Go ahead. Say your last thing.
Just that, someone to help around the house.
And help around the house. All right.
Yeah.
And so to feel sort of like someone I can connect with emotionally and someone who I feel like I'm on a team with, who gives a shit about me and is putting that giving a shit into action.
Absolutely.
Fair. Okay, that's fair. That's not a lot to ask, right? It's called being on a team. So evidently your partner didn't play team sports or something. So if your loneliness factor as a child was 70%, as a teen was 40%, and on average in your marriage is 55%, what percent is your loneliness factor now?
It depends on if I...
On average, just what is it on average? You've been divorced how long?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
Your loneliness average has been approximately what?
Maybe 30%, because I'm taking care of myself. I'm there for me, which helps me be there for my child.
And what percent, going back to your other index of scaredness, what percent is your scaredness now over the last 2 years?
I'm scared to fail my child, but I'm not scared like I used to be. So I would still have to stay in that 20-30%.
Okay. And then I have one more question, as long as we're on these fun numbers. And it's, you had talked about, I still struggle with loneliness and feeling like I'm not good enough. What percent do you feel not good enough?
That's 45%.
And what is the single biggest thing about you that is not good enough, that sucks so bad that you basically hate half of you?
Emotional regulation. My anger.
What do you think is at the root of your anger?
Not being cared for properly.
Now?
Back then.
I see. And who does your anger seem to be most impacting? Is it your daughter, your coworkers, yourself, lady at the grocery store? Who?
Straight to my daughter.
I see. So your pain from back then is flowing out in the form of anger of your daughter. So fundamentally, your parents are raising your daughter.
Unfortunately so. On some days. on some days, not
roughly
all the time.
Roughly 45% of the time.
Oh, well, when you say it like that, I don't know. I kind of disagree.
Okay. Well, if you have
Maybe
45% feeling that you're not good enough, that means at least, even if that anger isn't coming out at your daughter 45% of the time, that would be a lot. Even if it's not, that feeling of not being good enough is impacting your decisions, not the least of which it could be coming out in forms of self-talk. Like when your daughter hears you talk about yourself. Oh, I'm so fat. Oh, I'm so skinny. Oh, gosh, I look terrible in this dress. Or it could come out in forms of over worry, over concern about her, using her to get your affection needs met, using her to get your attention needs met. It could come out in forms of how you treat her to look at the world because of your own fears or your own anxieties, or, are you potentially still expecting her to put on images of perfect, whether for her sake or for your own sake? Make sure you are perfect, or, put on a good show, put on a good outward reality. It could also be coming out in forms of just raw anger or volatility, such that even if it's not anger, if you initially said emotional regulation, so mom can go hot, can go cold, can go sad, can go mad, whatever. So in other words, I live in a little bit of a war zone, so I don't feel safe. It's not that mom's always attacking me per se. It's just that it's constantly, which mom am I getting today? So it can come out in a number of ways. And
I'd say it's that last one.
Sure.
I would say it's more that she might feel like she lives in a war zone.
Understandable. And I'm not saying it to beat you down. I'm saying it so we can
No, of course not.
identify what's going on. And the truth is, I think you've said, or you mentioned in your write-up that you've started my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, and you've been doing the journaling work and so forth. Roughly how far are you into the book, just approximately?
I am over halfway.
Great. And the goal in that, one of the goals, is to take you down to find the origins of the core beliefs you've been taught to believe about yourself, such as you're not good enough. Okay.
Right.
That would obviously be one of them, but also to take you down into the pain and the fears. And then, because those, in addition to the belief system, and the belief system is almost more powerful than the feelings and the trauma. It's the belief system that grows out of those, but take you down into those things, because your anger is growing out of that. Your anger is growing out of the fear that you felt as a child, that your anger is growing out of what they taught you to believe about yourself. And the more courage you have to go in and go deeper and go deeper and go, well, where's this coming from? Well, why? Well, what was I really feeling back then? Well, what's another memory I have back then? Gosh, I don't know. I don't have any memories. But if I had another one, well, I do remember the color of red for some reason in our house. What was the red? Oh, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And great, journal about that. It's just you're pulling up more memories, even if it's a tiny little thread. But you're going deeper and going deeper. And the more you go into that shit, the more you are just welcoming it up. You're welcoming it up. And that's going to unpack more and more. And the more you do that, what you're doing is you're diffusing those bombs that are at the root of that anger. I want to ask you this question. What would you say was the core message, one or two, that you got about yourself based on how you were treated as a child when you were 70% scared, okay, and you were lonely as a child, 70% lonely as a child, going way back to at least 6 or 7. What do you think in how you were treated and the physical violence that your father clearly has, and your mother, oh, it's okay, it's not so bad, and so her obviously not defending you, which would explain the fear and the loneliness, etc. What do you think was the fundamental message or messages you got about yourself?
I believe I've read the Binary Gate chapter twice, actually, because that was a lot to chew on. And I believe that I was taught to take care of others, that I didn't matter, and that I don't need to be taken care of. My purpose is to be served to others, that I don't matter.
Wow. And would it be reasonable to say that you have seen that then play out the rest of your life?
Yeah, I have.
And how did that belief system work out for you in your marriage?
It imploded in my face.
Right. And in a way, though, it was a blessing that it had imploded in your face, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You having a dog-ass lazy husband who didn't give a shit was oddly, when in terms of your growth, that was the best fucking thing that could have ever happened.
I agree with you.
Because at the very least, you were safe enough that you knew you weren't going to get hit. So you were physically safe. But in a way, that kind of was a blessing. But your soul or the universe, whatever the fuck, God, whatever you want to call it, your soul attracted this person who was sent for your greatest growth. It just took going through a massive amount of pain. And you got this sparkly, bright light of a daughter as a bonus parting gift.
God, she's great.
Yeah, I'm sure. She's got her mom's sparkle, I'm sure. But it forced you to see things, and it forced you to make the pain worse so that you finally had the courage to break out of that bullshit belief system, to begin the breakout, and which is precisely what you've been doing. What would you say in all of your childhood, and I'm going to flip it over to Casey and Rob here in a minute for their insights and questions. What would you say is the single biggest thing in one sentence or less that your dad did to hurt you your entire life, if you were to distill it all down to one thing, or if there was one event or a distillation of everything? What was the one thing in one sentence or less your dad did to hurt you most?
Well, it would be a physical punishment, then ignore me, then tell me to just get over it.
And why was that so bad?
Because that's not how the real world works. You can't just beat on someone, ignore them forever.
What was the effect on the girl of beat you, ignore you, get over it? What's the effect on a person of living as a victim of that cycle?
It makes you strong, but not in a good way. It makes you conquer every single obstacle all by yourself. It makes you take care of other people's emotions before your own, or help someone fix their life before you even have your own together.
And put it in one sentence. What's the downside of the physical punishment, ignore, get over it? What does it boil down to? What does it teach the child?
To be a people pleaser.
All right. And what, above all else, is the single biggest thing your mom did to hurt you?
Pretended like it wasn't happening.
And what is the impact on the child of the pretending it wasn't happening?
Insecurity.
I mean, why would you be insecure if she's pretending it isn't happening? What's the connection between those two things? How does one cause the other?
Distrusting the opposite sex. You just can't trust what's in front of you. If you know what's happening to you and no one's there to stop it, you just stop trusting altogether.
Yeah, but isn't it, I agreed, totally agree. Isn't she also almost teaching you something worse? And you throw this idea in the trash. She's not only teaching you to distrust the opposite sex, by her pretending it wasn't happening. When your eyes, ears, and body, everything are experiencing it happening, she's not just teaching you to distrust the opposite sex, she's teaching you to distrust yourself. You're insecure because I'm having this experience, but this person I love and trust more than anybody in the whole world is telling me that experience isn't happening. So you don't even know what reality is. You don't even trust your own voice. It's the ultimate in gaslighting, that the very person you love and trust, who is basically God for all intents and purposes, the nice version of God, and dad's the mean version of God, that is telling you not happening. So you don't trust yourself. And as a result, your entire life, you haven't trusted your own gut. You
sure haven't.
No, of course not. And it was bullshit the whole time. That little girl knew exactly what she was going through. And the fundamental truth about mom is that she failed job number one, which is not to feed the child and clothe the child. It is protect the child. And she didn't even fail. She wasn't even trying. That's the difference. To fail means to try and not succeed. She wasn't trying. She just said, nah, fuck off. You don't matter. Who commits the greater crime? The person hitting the child or the person allowing, and in fact, telling the child it's not happening, but allowing the child to be hit? Who, for you personally, and there's no right or wrong answer, it's different for everyone, who's committing the greater crime, the hitter or the person allowing the child to be hit?
I'm so glad you asked me this question because this has been the part of my journaling. At first, it was father. But now, as a mom, it's the mother.
And there is the root of your anger. Certainly one of them. You got a whole lot of fucking hatred towards your mother. And until that shit comes out, and you don't ever have to confront the living, breathing person, you don't have to cut her off, you don't have to change a fucking thing in your relationship with your mother in real life. You can, but you don't have to. But it has to come out. That's what you need to be writing letters to your mom about. KC, I would like to bring you in here briefly, if you'd join us.
Bernie, I just think you're brilliant. In every way, I think you are brilliant. First of all, I want to commend you for the way that you stood up for your child. I mean, if even half the parents in this world stood up as ferociously as you did for your child, the world would be a way better place. And the passion that was in your voice when you talked about standing up for your passion, like nobody is going to mess with your kid. And I love that. So I wanted to commend you on that. I think I was really most struck and angry by the fact that your family used your mental health diagnosis as a weapon against you.
It wasn't even a
It's not even a
diagnosis.
diagnosis.
They were just
It was,
pulling.
okay. It
They're
wasn't
just
even a
pulling shit out of
diagnosis.
their ass to be
Right.
fuckers.
Well, to use any mental health diagnosis as a weapon against anybody is just disgusting. And to use one that's never been diagnosed is even worse.
Yep.
This is why we have such a stigma around people's mental health. And I think it's so disgusting. And it really, really shows who the people are that raised you. And what their heart is, and also what their intellect was, because that's just so backwards.
And I tried to say that for the longest time. Oh, it was different times. It was, different times, blah, blah, blah. That was all I kept saying to myself. And then I heard Sven go, no, that's bullshit, because therapy's been around since like the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So they just chose not to find the information. And I was like, oh my
That's
gosh.
it. That's exactly right. I mean, it's really disgusting, and it's why we have such a stigma around mental health, and it's horrible. And you survived it, and you called it out. You named the beast, and you're doing it against all odds. You are a healthy young woman, slaying your demons, as Sven would say, and raising your daughter the right way. And I'm just astounded and amazed and in awe of you. And I just want to say, keep up the good work. You're doing a great job, Mom.
I agree.
Thanks.
I totally agree. Rob, any thoughts?
Yes, Ben, when you're all 6'7", when you're 6 and 7 years old, that's a really deep ditch to get out of. And she's doing a great job. She's so eloquent. She seems to be so much in touch with what's going on. But my question for you, maybe on behalf of Bernie, is what's the next step?
One is those letters drilling down. And actually, it's very, very interesting you asked that. Thanks for asking that question, Rob. I want to ask you a question that I've asked. You've heard me ask guests before. And that is, what percent do you hate yourself right now, if at all?
That's really hard to say, because today I don't, because I had a rough morning and I turned my day around.
On
and didn't
average,
allow it.
lately, over the last year or two, what percent do you hate yourself?
When I'm not in my right mindset, I got to go 20%. I got to go 20%, because I have awful days. I have absolutely awful days.
At what point in your life did you hate yourself most?
When I was a drunk and mean to people.
And so ages roughly 18 to 20 to 30, right? No, to 28.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And what
For about
percent
10 years,
for about 10 years? And what percent did you hate yourself during those years? Approximately
80%.
80%. And what is the earliest you recall hating yourself at all in your life?
I was a teenager and I was mistreated by a boyfriend um, sexually, and I wanted to hang myself from the ceiling fan.
Okay. And what percent did you hate yourself then?
100%.
Okay. So then when I asked you the percent when you hated yourself most, it was actually as a teenager. Did your hating yourself the most as a teenager, was that because of the sexual assault solely?
Yes, because I allowed myself to be in that spot. I blamed myself.
Well, you just said something different. Yes, you just said, yes, because I allowed myself to be in that spot. And then now you said, I blamed myself, as if you're basically saying, your first comment was, I presently see myself as putting myself in the bad spot. And then you said, I blamed myself, as in the past, I used to blame myself. But your first comment was, I still blame myself. So which is it?
I do not still blame myself.
Oh, thank
I
God.
do not still blame
Okay,
myself.
but my question is, did you have, are you telling me that your self-hatred only started when you started drinking at age 18?
No, it started earlier.
Right. And so when would you say it started? Did it start with the sexual assault? Because you originally said that you started fucking drinking because of all the bad thoughts in the whirlwind in your brain, and the bad thoughts in my family is not awful, and or is awful, and I'm awful, and all that shit. Well, we know that started as early as 6 or 7. When do you think you first felt even an ounce of hatred for yourself?
Probably 8th grade, when bullies started confirming the things that my family was saying.
Give me a percent.
60%.
60%. So if you're feeling 60% self-hatred in 8th grade, did that just happen overnight? Or is it reasonable to assume that had been building up for a while?
Yeah, I would say it's been building up for a while.
So it's reasonable to assume you felt some self-hatred in 7th grade, maybe even 6th grade.
But I didn't know what it was.
Okay. So it's reasonable to assume you felt it far earlier than that. And just out of curiosity, what percent do you hate your mom?
70%.
What percent do you hate your dad presently, if at all?
90%.
Isn't it interesting? You just got done saying my mom committed the greater crime, but I hate my dad more.
Because he put his hands on me.
Right, but you still just got done saying my mom committed the greater crime, but I hate my dad more.
So, mentally, it's mom. Physically, it's dad.
Right. You're still working on that equation, it sounds like. Point in all of this is you've got two people who fundamentally taught a 6-year-old girl, and potentially earlier, because we know your father advocates beating a 3-year-old when your daughter was a child, a toddler, actually 2. We know your father advocated that in the case of your own daughter. So we know we've got 2 adults who not only advocated it now, but back then, which means they haven't changed, which means they haven't improved as parents, and are still advocating it for grandparents. So they're still doing it. They don't see anything wrong with what they did.
And yeah, they're doing that whole backdoor, like you say, that backdoor in where they can hold themselves accountable as the parent. So they try to be the doting grandparent. That's what they try to do.
Well, until they want to beat the kid, then it's not so doting.
I don't allow that much time. So.
Right, but they taught a child to hate herself at very young ages, and it registered as self-hate as early as 8th grade. Okay, and so where you start, to answer Rob's question, the reason I went down that rabbit hole is where you start, right there. You want to see the biggest gains, you go to the biggest rock, and you start overturning that biggest rock, and you go down deep, because there's so much fucking pain and the rage, and allowing yourself to use those words. People say, well, I don't want to touch hate. I'm not a hater. I don't want to go into that. I'm afraid it'll overwhelm me, or I'm just not a hater. But the truth is, we've already identified, hate is just one more feeling. It's just another feeling. And it's intended to release bodily energy and soul energy in response to a stimulus. All right? Yeah. And the more we get it out, then it's gone. It's only when we resist it and say, no, it's bad, or that's a big word. It's what that causes people to stuff it down. You've been stuffing it down your whole life because, hey, Your voice doesn't matter. Your reality isn't true. Those things probably didn't happen. You're fucked in the head.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad, which is all bullshit. And so the point is, so you have to go into that vault and begin to release it and journal your ass off and write them letters you don't send. Just keep doing that on your own. Just do that. Just do those two things in addition to finishing the book, and do it repetitively, and unleash the venom and pull up as many memories as you have that have any sort of emotional charge attached to them, and go into what that emotional charge might be. In other words, what the feeling is, and write about that feeling, and flush and flush and flush, then flush some more, then write another letter a week later or journal on it, and keep doing that. And the more you do that, you're going to find yourself decompressing. You're going to find the energy bleeding out of you. You're going to find yourself calming the fuck down. You're going to find your daughter saying, Mommy, you're different. You're going to find yourself relaxing. You're just going to be different. Your coworkers are going to notice a difference.
I've had a few close friends say that. They're like, you process differently.
That's it. And it's only going to increase. And where you're really going to begin to see payoffs is that when the day comes, if you choose to start dating again, because the more you calm and get out those voices of, I'm not good enough, my sole responsibility is to serve, I don't matter. And the more you get out all those supercharged emotions, the more you're operating from center. And then you're going to notice shit right away. You're going to date differently. Rather than letting those red flags go by, because I need to hold on to somebody and I need someone to make me feel not lonely. I need to hold, in the old days, I need to hold on to somebody so I don't have to go back to mom and dad. I need to hold on to somebody so I'm not scared, or hold on so I'm not lonely, or hold on so somebody will confirm my worth. I need to hold on for whatever reason. Now it's like, well, I don't care if I lose someone. You know what? You're a great guy. Thanks for this date. I just don't feel the chemistry. There's nothing wrong with you. I just don't feel the chemistry, or whatever it is. Or this guy, he always responds to my texts. He always responds to my calls. Great guy, but he never texts me first. I just want somebody who texts me first. That's all. Nothing wrong with him. I just want somebody it can be anything, but you're going to date differently. And you're going to catch it sooner because you know where it goes if you don't. So everything's going to begin to change, and you're going to begin to work differently, and so on and so forth. But it requires, your emotional regulation. It's not even regulation. You don't want to have to be regulating anymore. You're just flushing it all out so that you can be present to whatever emotion comes and you can flush it out. But if you're having to regulate anything, that says you're jacked up. You're fucking jacked up. Mountain Dew. You're loaded with emotions that we got to get out so that you're not having to regulate. That makes sense?
Yeah.
I want to ask you, wait, what was that? You sort of hesitated. What?
I find myself still struggling to remain calm. Okay, so what I have figured out for myself is that I join my child's emotions, and I don't need to.
That's right.
And I know that. But then when we get ramped up, and then I'm like,
that's it. And that's your own shit. Okay, so if you get out more and more of this shit regarding mom, regarding dad, regarding your siblings, all the family that turn on you, which families will do if you're doing something that challenges the king and queen at the top of the family myth, at the top of the food chain, and that you flush out all this shit, because what's happening is your daughter's shit is activating, triggering is the word they use nowadays, all your own shit. The more you get out your shit, you'll be calm. You'll be able to be present, realize this is no big fucking deal. This is a 5-year-old's fucking problems. This is nothing. This is just going to be gone in a day. And you'll be able to just let her flush it out. And we get better then at doing this one thing. Remember what my mother used to say. She raised 6 kids, died at the age of 93. She taught at the graduate level in the field of early childhood education. And she always used to say, remember, children want to be heard, not fixed. And you're going to be so able to be present. And you're going to be so able to say things like, it's going to be okay. You're doing just fine, and you make good decisions. Those 3 are so extraordinarily calming to a child, but reassuring to trust their voice, which is what the opposite of what you got. Just dive into all your own pain, fears, and the bullshit beliefs you got about yourself. Bernie, you have been monster. This has been fucking killer. You're awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
I'm glad I got to talk with the badass himself.
I tell you what, it was great. Great. And
thank you.
And come back and give us an update when you have one.
Please do.
Okay, I don't know how to do that, but I will.
Well, you just reach back
Just
out.
reach out
Yeah,
again.
reach out
Through the same email?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back. And just dive into your shit. We'd love to have you back, okay?
Oh my gosh. Thank you. This has been great.
Good.
And,
You're going to be
Bernie,
fine.
we have two groups. We have one free group on Facebook that you can stay in contact with us. That's called the Badass Counseling Group on Facebook. And also we have Community Plus, which is a subscription group, much smaller, where you get, I'll let Sven
I've
explain
looked
that.
into
Direct
yeah,
access.
I looked
and-
into that.
Yeah.
It's just a subscription I can't quite afford right now.
Understood.
So
Understood. But at least there's the one on Facebook. There's about 48,000 members, and feel free to join. But again, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
no, thank you.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure was ours. To all of our listeners around the world, I know we've enjoyed having Bernie on. On behalf of my team, I thank you. I thank Bernie for coming on. And as things go, slay your fucking demons. Have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by two-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.